For our movie of the week, cue the music.
Good.
We watched District 9, which was on my top 100. I believe it was 91. Don't quote me on that, though, because I don't know. I don't have the list in front of me, even though I probably should have. But, yeah, I think that was my recommendation to do District 9 this week.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it. I saw it once in theaters when the night it came out, and then I saw it maybe 2 years after that. So it came out 2009. I saw it in 2011. So it's been 12 years since I've seen that movie. And, yeah, what'd you think, Josh?
I love this movie, and it's been a while since I watched it. I've seen it multiple times, but it's been a good couple years since I've seen it. Yeah, it's just, I think this movie's highly underrated. I think it's highly underrated, and kind of like how Steven Spielberg said The Dark Knight would have won an Oscar if it came out today. I think this movie would have been more appreciated if it came out today. I feel like it came out in a time where we weren't really getting films like this when it came to like sci-fi movies. I think a lot of people went into this movie expecting this sort of alien sci-fi movie that we usually get, but this went against the grain on almost everything. You know what I mean? It starts off, it gives us this character who, usually we're rooting for the human character, but this character is a piece of shit. and I love how in the beginning they show you him and you're like, oh, this guy can't be that bad. But then they go to District 9 and you're like, oh, this guy's terrible. This guy's a horrible person. And you have like this documentary and people are talking about, I can't believe he would do this, but they're not telling you what he did. So you're like, oh, he did something crazy. And just the way it's set up like a documentary, it really helps the audience get into the film and find it more believable. It's not this typical alien movie where they come and, one, they're going to have a battle, or two, we're intrigued by their technology and want to learn more. It's like they treat these aliens like they're dumb. They have them in this ghetto, and
they call them prawns
shit.
And
yeah. But overall, I absolutely love this movie. And another thing that I was thinking of when we were talking about how Darth Vader died and he needed to die, I feel the same way about the main character. He kind of has that redemption at the end of the film, but like he didn't win. He ends up turning into the aliens that he treated like shit, and that is his punishment, even though he did kind of redeem himself a little bit, but he has that punishment because he's still a shitty person. And to be following this shitty person through the film was something different. It really was. And that's
it's funny you say it. So obviously, I saw this. So I just rewatched it yesterday, and I'm so fucking glad I did. 'Cause I saw it one time, probably in 2011. So that's why I was like, oh, I wanted to see it because sci-fi, cool, why not? But Sharlto Copley, man, I fucking love this guy. He is a fucking phenomenal actor, and the first time I ever saw him was in 2010 in A-Team when he was Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
So, watching this movie, just like, wait, I need to see more of him. I need more of him in movies.
Mm-hmm.
But his character Wickus, I mean, it's funny you say that he was like this real piece of shit. I came in at it as a completely different angle. I looked at it as he wasn't a complete piece. He was oblivious. He had no clue how bad everyone was being treated. He was put in this position because of his father-in-law. He was promoted to this and sent here to help move. He was just a complete bumbling idiot who had this smoking hot wife because he was just a lucky bastard and good-hearted.
Yeah.
But he was, I feel like he was just completely oblivious and has no spine and just kind of he didn't really understand how bad things were for everybody. He was just doing what he was told to do.
Right. I do kind of want to backtrack a little. Like, I do want to say he wasn't a piece of shit to humans, He was. The way you put it, he's oblivious. Like the way he did, because he did treat the aliens like shit, like complete shit. But it was only the aliens that he was like almost not viewing them as like, it was not human beings, but like people, like living
So,
organisms.
yeah.
He's treating
If I-
like
if I could jump-
animals.
If I could jump in real quick, what you said with that this movie was ahead of its time in the fact of its social commentary is so tongue-in-cheek and underlying this whole thing that he is the perfect representation of a desk bureaucrat going into the field and doing something where all he looks at is just rules, laws. Like you see when there's the scene when he goes into the ship and like towards the end, and he goes downstairs into the guy's ship, and he's like, "Oh, this is so illegal. This is definitely a fine." Like, what are you talking about? It's a fucking ship. It's not a fine. Like, what are you saying? Like, that is so, because he just doesn't even think that way. Like, you or I would be like, "Holy crap, this is crazy." Like, you've been hiding this here the whole time, but he just thinks in bureaucratic garbage, like, oh, this guy is in trouble. Like, so it's a perfect representation of, like, I don't think he's a piece of shit. He's just way over his head. He's just so like, you can tell at the like underlying he wants to be a good person. Like, he wants to help people. Like, he's trying to help these creatures, but it's more of like red tape. Like, I have to come here and get your signature, sir. And the prawn thing is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And he's like, no. See, when he slapped it, I got his signature. And his character's so just like removed from reality almost.
Exactly.
I think it lays to the point where this movie just doesn't go deep enough. Where because when they made it, there wasn't like a movie that needed to be like it didn't need to exist, but they made it. But you could have gone further with the social commentary aspects of like how they're treated. And I think it's really, there's a lot of points where the South African people are like, yeah, go back home. We don't want you here. Like, you're alien to us. And it's like, you realize that's how like some of the native people treated you, like the native people to that country. It's so handoffish and so social commentary like that. It's just like, this is amazing. Like, it's weird. I personally loved it. Like I said, this was in my top 100, and I only watched it twice, and it had a profound impact on. I freaking love this movie, and whenever a movie can barely tell you anything about it and make you want to know more, that's always a sign of a really, really good movie. Like, this movie, they don't really tell you. They never tell you why the aliens came from. They don't even give you like a time frame. They give you like 20 years, but they don't tell you when in the future it was. They just leave out all this stuff, and it makes me at least want to know more. Like, I want another movie to this. I want this to go in further with it.
Yeah. And they were supposed to actually do a sequel. They're
still in the
be
talks.
District 10.
They're still supposed to do it, yeah.
So the director,
Neil Blomkamp.
So he's kind of put a halt on everything because it's not the right time because of everything going on. It's like, no, who cares? I get it. Yes, this is where you're from. I understand you don't want to cause a problem, but tell your story. You have the actor. I mean, Shalto wants. He's like, I want to do this role again. Let's go.
I just hate that it's so long. Like, it's almost like Avatar, because it came out the same year as Avatar. They both came out in 2009, and it's like we're still waiting on a sequel to District 9. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, the movie's underrated, but it does have its fan base. Like, there's a lot of people asking for District 10.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that we're waiting so long, because, I mean, it's not coming out next year, I can tell you that.
No.
So it's like, when is it coming?
So they're wrapping up on doing the Gran Turismo. The guy who directed it, he's doing Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
they're working on drafts. They're trying to. I mean, it's a lot of promising. Like, it's, I don't know. It doesn't need to. I'm not like super clamoring for it. It doesn't. I'm staying up waiting for it, but it's something that I'm definitely looking forward to as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted
to
dive more into that world.
I'm just looking for the back and forth between, Wickes and Christopher. Who was the prawn, who he saved at the end, finally coming back, and he says, and I just want to see what the hell? You said 3 years.
Yeah, I said 3 years. And then what's the plan? Like, is he going to come back, like, with a whole army? Because he was very devastated when he found out what was happening to his people. So I don't think he's going to go back and be like, not bring all that up. There's probably going to be some sort of war. in the next one, I would imagine. Like, he's
Can I
probably
say
going to come
about
back with
also-
more than just...
The thing that struck me for this movie, another thing too, was that the CGI was really good. Like, there's a lot of
It
movies
was.
that even a few years after it comes out, the CGI looks terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, "Ooh, that did not age well." This movie aged pretty well. There was
Yeah.
hardly a time
Yeah.
where I was like removed from it and thinking like, "Oh, that's super," like that looks bad. This movie looks great. Like,
Yeah, the
some
way
of the
they
visceral
can convey
scenes
the
are a little.
emotions on their faces.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the mocap was, or whatever they did to make the
Mhm.
prawn creatures is fantastic. Like, everything
Yeah.
looks real. It looks
yeah.
believable.
The exploding people and
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like-
Nothing looked like,
Oh.
and that's
Oh,
super.
okay.
Like, I was just watching a horror movie from like 2005, and it's awful. The blood is terrible. It just doesn't even look real. It was like a
Yeah.
sci-fi movie, and it looked horrible. I was like, gee. And then watching this last night, I was like, wow, this still could. You could release this movie today, and it would.
In this exact state.
Mhm.
And it looks like
And
it,
it
was
looks
just
great.
made
Yeah,
today.
yeah, it looks
It's not-
great.
Yeah.
It's not too over the, because sometimes where movies I feel like fail lately is they go so big with the action that
Mhm.
it just, after a while, you're like, okay, like you have, entire city blocks blowing up, and you're like, just because you can do that doesn't mean you should. It makes it so, it cheapens it almost when you do this gigantic, huge monuments, explosions, and having people survive things that you're like, dude, what?
Yeah, they didn't really
Yeah.
have an action set piece, a big one, until the end there. I mean, for
Yeah.
most of the movie, there's not a lot of fun happening. I mean, you kind of
No.
feel shitty for most of
Yeah.
the film. Even when the action set piece is happening, you're like, this sucks, man. Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel so great. I just feel terrible about
Yeah.
everything that's happening.
Yep.
And maybe that was another turnoff, People saw the trailer for this and they're like, "Oh yeah, alien action movie." Then they go see this and they're like, "Oh man, I don't feel
Yeah.
great,"
No. I love the whole documentary aspect of it.
Oh, it's
It
so
was
cool.
it was just it was greatly done. I mean, the whole premise of the movie was fantastic, and I am hoping they actually finally green light the sequel, because I want to see a District 10.
It's funny too, because I was just thinking, it reminded me a lot of like a better version of Battle Los Angeles. Do you remember that movie with Aaron
Yes.
Eckhart and how
Aaron Eckhart, yep.
it's that was supposed to be like a franchise kind of movies. They were supposed to come out with like
Yep.
Battle New York, and I think there was a Battle Miami or something planned, and Battle San Francisco or something. Like, it's weird how we got this run of probably, I'd say, 6, 7, 8 years of all these like sci-fi action adventure thriller movies where it was like aliens coming down and fucking everything up, and then it just kind of all went away.
Oh, hey, look at you. You made it to the end of the video. Well, if you like what you saw, be sure to hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button. Should be over here, I hope. Also, check out some of the other videos we have on the channel right over here. Do it. Click the video. Click the video. Dude,